Better convince your population to accept vaccines. Otherwise,
fall is fast approaching, which means probable uptick in cases of COVID.
What?
Of course, there's a vaccine for that. But there seems to be an epidemic of doubt among some Americans. We've asked our Dr. John LaPook for his
the antivirals, the antibiotics. And yet I am dumbfounded by the volume of anti-vax voices.
Really?
Dr. Howard Markel is a medical historian. Dr. Markel says vaccine hesitancy is as old as the United States.
They would cut you open, make a slice of your arm, and inoculate, put it in your arm. And half of the people got really sick, and some of them died. So it cost a lot, and it was dangerous.
But the people who recovered, they were immune.
Yeah.
Professor Elena Konis is a medical historian at UC Berkeley. In 1905, the Supreme Court ruled the government has the authority to require vaccination.
This, importantly, had the effect of energizing a lot of anti-vaccine groups. And the anti-vaccine groups at the time believed that they were defenders of individual liberty.
But by the 1950s, there was one thing that united Americans: their fear of polio.
As more and more doctors and public health officials were encouraging people to get vaccinated or encouraging their children to get vaccinated, people were saying, but hold on, I need to ask questions. What are these vaccines for? Who made them? What's in them? And why are they necessary? Can you tell me that?
The overwhelming medical consensus is that the benefits of vaccines have far outweighed the risks.
we're talking about our kids.
But an upsurge in the anti-vaccine movement was fueled by a 1998 study in a prestigious British journal that linked the measles vaccine with autism. It took 12 years for the journal to retract the study. Dr. Peter Hotez has worked for decades to develop vaccines at the Baylor College of Medicine and Texas Children's Hospital.
Everybody knows the life-saving impact of vaccinations.
Unfortunately for all of us, when Peter Hotez speaks, he discredits American medicine. He is a misinformation machine.
With public figures like former presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. vocalizing vaccine skepticism, Dr. Hotez believes politics has turbocharged historical reasons for resisting vaccines.
It's a form of political control.
What?
And it's a part of creating another issue to galvanize their base.
What? As an historian who knows about the arc of the vaccine movement in a way that most of us don't know, are you concerned about where vaccines are right now in terms of the public?
What I will say is that I'm not at all surprised. We've been here in some respects before. Vaccination resistance bubbles up when we use more vaccines and when we use more of the force of law to encourage or require vaccination. When I hear arguments and when I hear frustration that people aren't getting vaccinated, how can they not understand? My response is, let's try to understand their distrust. Let's try to understand their concerns, and let's take them seriously.
Like COVID-19, H5N1, they're the warm-up act. I'm going to hurl a major pandemic at you every few years, and you better get ready. And by the way, you better convince your population to accept vaccines. Otherwise, the devastation is going to be unprecedented.
Unfortunately for all of us, when Peter Hotez speaks, he discredits American medicine. He is a misinformation machine.
And by the way, you better convince your population to accept vaccines. I'm going to hurl a major pandemic at you every few years, and you better get ready.